Welcome to a new bedtime story in Arlinac Town. This story is partly inspired by the Shadow Dark adventure, The Wavestone Monolith, but with an enormous amount of changes and other sources of inspiration. Our story begins in the offices of Discretion and Valor, the company where people with troubles can go to have their troubles resolved without the rest of Arlinac Town learning about it. A locksmith named Yazael Androdrum brings a small, formerly locked chest to these offices and explains his story. I was asked to open this chest. Someone said they inherited it. People say that when they have inherited chests and sometimes when they haven't. And not to do so for 2 days. Nothing suspicious about that. So, Yazael continues, 2 days have passed by. I opened the treasure chest, and inside it was a paper, a bracelet, and this very weird orb that even putting my finger near it makes me feel quite strange and wrong. The note spoke of an errant. It was a letter from an errant named Alum Tormcart, saying that he was pursuing an ogre, an evil ogre named Jack Gall. Jack Gall was trying to do something in service of some strange evil being, and he is going into the mega basement below Arlinac Town, a place where time and space are a little confused after some mad science experiments went wrong under the industry district. The note explains that Alum might need rescuing if he hasn't come back for his treasure chest within 2 days. The bracelet, when put on, will gently pull at the wearer's wrist, leading them to where Alum is. The orb is something that must be protected. Do not let Jackal, Slime Brace, or the others that work with him acquire it at any cost. Yazael then kind of shrugs and looks at the people that work at Discretion and Valor. Will you take this job? I do not know what this errant would repay you with. Perhaps the bracelet could be sold when you have rescued him. Perhaps he has other useful things on him. It is, I am sorry I have done all I can by bringing this to you. I am not a heroic adventurer. After some discussion, 2 members of Discretion and Valor offer to help. Olivoper, a Therian who can turn into a lovebird, and Ariansa, an orc. They agree to go together to look into the mega basement, led by the bracelet to try to rescue Alam and perhaps help him to defeat Jack Gall with whatever plans that ogre has. So the first thing to check will be how that journey fares across town from Discretion and Valor's office to the mega basement. So, an eerie presence is alarming and vaguely threatening. 2 composure is lost. We'll do 1 for each of them. And if a medium wonder or composure check is successful, then they don't start with less heroism. Ariansa is successful. Olivoper is not. Failure means a troubling past event is revealed. So as they're going through Industry District to the mega basement, they meet a dwarf, Razari. Razari, when they ask if they have any errants have traveled down into the mega basement a couple days ago, shares that yes, one was, but he was acting very strangely. He seemed to ignore when he was spoken to, and every now and then would pause and put his hands on his temples as if his head was throbbing in pain. Our hero and heroine thank Razari for that information and go down into the mega basement. The bracelet leads them through some rooms. The first interesting room is a tiered oval room. The other exits are all blocked by portcullises. But there is a new wooden door and a creature there. There's a witch, an old witch, the matron of a creepy coterie, who says that this door is only for certain people. Olivoper and Ariansa explain that there is a bracelet Ariansa is wearing that is pulling her towards the door. Surely she is someone who should go through. They are trying to rescue an errant. Isn't that a good story? Maybe that is part of the story the witch is there to help promote. How is the witch reacting to them? She is not happy with this. She says things need time to get worse before people like you go in to fix them. If you go through that door, then be wary. Your chances of dealing with the problem are very small. They say, we must try. An errant is in trouble. The witch asks, do you know what you are struggling against? And they say, no, just that there is an ogre who has done something troublesome. And the witch laughs and says, ah, well, I will give you some help and some complication. And she reaches into her pocket and pulls out that same strange cursed orb they saw earlier. She says, this orb needs to go through that door. I've taken it from where it was and give it to you now. Take it with you, but guard it very well. If it falls into the wrong hands, then the story will get much darker than otherwise. And then she steps aside to let them through. How does the next journey fare? An unexpected grisly scene shocks you. So they're still down some composure. We need a medium melee or composure, or we lose more. If we fail, a new enemy is revealed. Success. Through the door is a strange scene. It looks not like a room or a hallway, but sort of like a very large spiral staircase. However, the spiral staircase most looks like half of a shell of a chamber nautilus, with the different chambers descending as you go down. Slightly bigger than most spiral staircase, certainly much bigger than an actual shell of a chamber nautilus. And the footing is a bit difficult because there aren't actually steps. Olivoper and Ariansa have to clamber down from chamber to chamber, and they seem to keep going and going. When they finally get to the bottom, there's an expansive rectangular room where unpleasant experiments were being done. It looked like it was a hospital where people who had been injured were being healed. But it also looks like a laboratory where experiments were being done, and perhaps healing was not the main goal. Olivoper is somewhat familiar with healing herbs, but this is not that kind of hospital. Here, people that had lost fingers or toes were having replacements attached, and leeches were being used to help the surgery be successful. Were they magic leeches? Ariansa, who is wearing the bracelet and holding the orb, suddenly feels the orb start glowing warm. And she has a sense that it belongs here. With this orb, she could have much more success. Leeches could be useful for healing people, could be useful for helping surgeries, could augment what healing herbs and potions could do. And with this orb, she can commune with them. Let's see if she can succeed in a wonder check. She does. Olivoper studies her as Ariansa has a vision far away in Trollspire Mountain, where the now vanished bird troll race did strange magics that the peoples today don't know about. That's where this orb is from. They were using it after their wars to cure their injured. They had creatures different from these mundane leeches that could do much more. Ariansa comes out of the vision and shakes her head, shares with Olivoper what happened. They look around. They don't see any obvious exits. Ariansa is quite perceptive, and she has the bracelet pulling her also. With its help, she manages to notice a seam in the stonework along one wall. Both protagonists look for machinery. Oh, they do not find anything. Let's see if they can re-roll and do something well. They finally find the mechanism to open the secret door. But it makes them discouraged that it was so well hidden, and they have only just started this adventure. Let's check for a complication. The noise of the stone on stone as the secret door is pushed open attracts some large rat-like animals, like normal rats, but bigger, that come out from a small hole in the opposite corner. These things look hungry and aggressive and scurry towards Olivoper and Ariansa. Our heroes draw their swords, manage to have 2 good hits. But there are many of these creatures, and squashing 2 of them is only a beginning. Olivoper is soundly bitten. And screeches as one manages to find a spot to clamp its teeth. The back of his leg, where his habergeon does not protect him. Ariansa could be hit. Let's see if she manages to dodge out of the way. She does. In our next round, the heroes manage to take out 2 more of these creatures. Only 2 left. Do these things flee? One of them does. But the one that has clamped onto Olivoper tries clawing and biting again. Fortunately, it misses. And our protagonists manage to get rid of it. Through the door, they see a strange scene, a shimmering light, and what looks sort of like ocean or a beach. Olivoper binds his wound. He takes out a sling. Ariansa takes out her bow. They do not want to be caught so flat-footed again. And they approach the shimmering portal. The scene they see keeps shifting. It sort of looks like a sandbar approaching a beautiful city on a tidal peninsula, like Mont Saint Michel, if you know that one. It sort of looks like the same room they come out of, a place with tables and a bucket of leeches and unpleasant stains. And it sort of looks like the deep ocean with enormous fish and other creatures swimming by. All three things at the same time. It's very disconcerting. But they maintain their composure and nod at each other. Ariansa is sure the bracelet is pulling them in this direction, so they step through the portal. They find themselves on a sandbar, but in front of them is not a beautiful city, but a strange monolith of a four-sided pyramid. There are rough stairs leading up one face of it to a square doorway. Around them in the water, they see shapes undulating, perhaps eels or leeches or something, but quite large. Fortunately, the sandbar keeps them safe. They turn and are reassured to see that the glowing portal is still right behind them as they've stepped through. They can return, they think, if they needed to. They ascend the monolith as quietly as they can. By the entryway is a statue. A statue of a woman with her arms raised. A blank mask covers her face. Olivoper removes the mask and is disturbed to see that around her mouth seem to be strange tendrils or tentacles or something. The statue of this woman includes a necklace that she's wearing that seems to be half of a nautilus shell. And somehow the stone carving of the statue copies the same feeling they had going down that staircase, that the chambers of this nautilus shell continue downward and downward. Oliver sticks his finger in what looks to be such a deep hole. Perhaps it's just a trick of the light. They're becoming aware slowly of a sensation like they are almost underwater. That moving or breathing is not difficult, but feels like perhaps it ought to be. They light torches. Well, Ariansa has a bow, so Olivoper lights a torch. And Ariansa, well, she actually stops him and says, "Here, I have a nice..." Oh, I'm sorry, Olivoper has the lantern. He lights his lantern, much better, and holds it up to look down into the entryway, while Ariansa keeps her bow ready. And they see that the Entryway seems damp, a strangely echoing silence. The walls are black stone, and there's large ammonite fossils all around, and trilobite fossils. Damp stairs lead down into the darkness. I don't trust this place, said Ariansa. Let me look around more while you hold the lantern. She notices something is odd with the stonework. The stone steps leading down have seams and gaps. On searching more, she finds one shell that is in the wall that seems to have been rubbed smooth. People touch it as they go by. And when she presses it in, there's a clicking noise. Cautiously, she puts her weight on the steps. But if they would change or fold or collapse somehow, it looks like the mechanism has been stabilized. The two of them creep down the steps. They come into a large square antechamber. There are fewer ammonite and trilobite fossils in the walls, but still some. This chamber seems much like the one before the portal, but it is emptier. The tanks that might have had leeches are empty. The tables that might have had people needing healing are empty. Only the unpleasant stains are similar. There are two doors in the north and in the west. Which do they pick? Olivoper suggests north. Ariansa asks her bracelet to lead them. That's where we'll stop for now.